And welcome to the Suppress Herald podcast. This is Sunday, July 14th, 2024, and quite a day. This is a incredible day, actually. We got through an assassination attempt yesterday on President Donald Trump. And it is going to be just an incredible week of following up on this. One, it's a miracle. And, you know, some people say divine intervention that he is not dead, having just missed being shot in the head by a assassin, a young punk 20-year-old. Who knows what we're going to find out. But let me say this, and there's going to be a lot of recrimination. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing. There's going to be a lot of things going on. There are two things that are going to be what should be written about, and I can almost guarantee will not in the mainstream media or here at the Suppress Herald in Maine. And, we've looked at this, and quite honestly, I'll be writing a letter to the editors at the Suppress Herald for a first time in many times, and I'm pretty sure it won't get printed. I'm going to write a accompanying letter to the editorial board outlining why they're nothing but a propaganda tool of liberals and the left. And it's really evident. They have weaponized the Justice Department and they have weaponized the media to turn Trump into a, evil person that needs to be eliminated. They've actually said these things. And they have blood on their hands today. One person died and two others were shot, in addition to Donald Trump being shot, thank goodness, in just his ear. But we're talking about the weaponization of the media to target, and Trump has been targeted for literally years, literally every day in the media, trying to make him appear to be some evil, dangerous person when he's actually a Republican former president of the United States who served 4 years under incredible duress because of nothing but lies and accusations made up by his rivals, the deep state, and then amplified, perpetuated by the media, including the Suppress Herald. We graded the Suppress Herald this week, as I do. Went to the editorial page, looked at the liberal, conservative, and neutral letters to the editor and editorials. Once again, 30 liberal letters to the editor, many attacking Trump, some trying to cover for Joe Biden's absolute loss of ability to think and function and perform his duties as president. And so you have letters to the editor, oh, it's just Joe, and so forth. I'll share some of that. So you had 30 liberal letters to the editor or editorials. You had two conservative, so that's a good ratio. That's typical. And seven neutral, just general subjects and so forth. What I would like to lay out a little bit is this bent of the media demonizing President Trump relentlessly, endlessly, and across the entire media platforms, from social media to the national media, the Washington Post, the New York Times. There's a national magazine. I'm not going to mention the magazine. Fortunately, nobody reads it anyway, but there's a national publication magazine with Trump on the cover depicting him as Hitler. You tell people enough that Trump is Hitler, is dangerous, he's a danger to democracy, is a threat to democracy, you're going to have some radicalized, impressionable fools go out and do what this a-hole did yesterday, trying to kill President Trump, trying to assassinate President Trump and injuring others and killing one other, murdering an innocent person in the stands with two children, wife, and it is just despicable. And yet they will be in denial that they had anything to do with this. Their rhetoric is dangerous. And people are coming out and saying, you can't be saying he's Hitler. You can't be saying he's a threat to democracy. If he was a threat to democracy, he'd still be president. He wouldn't have left. This is ridiculous. But this has been going on, and right here in this paper, I'm going to share a little bit right up till the paper today, which is, in my mind, horrifically irresponsible and typical of the suppress Herald propaganda sheet. As I've said, politics is local and so is propaganda. And right here in Maine, the suppress Herald is really good at propaganda. If you go back and look at this just this week, and this has been going on literally for weeks, as you know, I look at these editorial pages, I look at the letters to the editor, and this has been going on, and there are probably in the last 3 months hundreds of letters similar to these. Here's on Tuesday. Opinion: Trump, the once and future king? That's the headline. And they go through and basically make it out like he, because of the Supreme Court saying there was immunity for presidential decisions, calling him a king. He's dangerous to democracy. This is the narrative to try and defeat him. We're not talking about policies. We're not talking about national defense. We're not talking about the border. We're just talking about he's a danger to the democracy. Here's an editorial by E.J. Dion Jr., who's a Washington Post editorial writer. The words about Joe Biden I never wanted to write. Many who worry that his candidacy is unsustainable have been holding back out of esteem. They can't do so any longer. Basically saying we need to dump Biden because, and this is all week, has also been going on, oh, he's okay. You've got editorials about how, you can't determine that he has dementia and, he can still function. There's apologists, most of them trying to just tell you not to believe your lying eyes, which is the most typical approach they take to these things. But here's this article, the words about Joe Biden I never wanted to write, basically asking him to step down. But within this article, this paragraph, no, Biden's capacity to a good job in the campaign is not what this is about. Donald Trump's threat to democracy is the overriding question before the country and the centerpiece of the president's case for re-election. Biden's answer undercut his core rationale. He made the issue about him, not Trump. Trump's threat to democracy. That's their line. You tell people that he's a threat to democracy enough that he's Hitler, somebody's going to do something really stupid like what happened yesterday. And these people are responsible and have blood on their hands. The editorial board at the Suppress Herald in Maine are doing this. They're nothing but propaganda for starters. But now, with this rhetoric and them putting these letters in there irresponsibly, they know darn well Trump is not a threat to democracy, nor is he Hitler. But this is what they perpetuate every day in their paper. This is on the opinion page on Wednesday. Whatever Joe Biden decides, I'm sticking with him. And in that article, today, this good man considers whether, in the face of the greatest threat to American democracy since the Civil War, he should step aside and let his party nominate another. There it has. This is allowed to go again and again. The biggest threat to American democracy. What is the threat of a majority of voters, citizens, voting in an election, national election, decided by the Constitution of the United States of America in the Electoral College of Trump winning an election. What is the threat to democracy about that? This is sick what these people are allowing to be put into these and printing in these papers. They're publishing and multiplying and giving voice to these people every single day. And again, they have blood on their hands today. The media are complicit in this nonsense. Here's a letter from Shelley Pingree, or a quote from Shelley Pingree, Congresswoman, lib, extreme lib, do nothing Congresswoman from Maine, who is absolutely worthless. I don't think she's ever sponsored a single bill. If she has, it wasn't anything of substance, probably just something to control us. But here's just a quote. And this is having to do with deciding if Biden should continue. One thing that unites Democrats, she said, is concern about the danger posed by a second Trump presidency, which she said poses an existential threat to our democracy. These people should be removed, and maybe they will if the country catches on that this is despicable what they're doing, attacking their opponents, political opponents, with this nonsense. And last, I'd like to finish up. Today is fairly short. I'm mostly angry, like millions and tens of millions of Americans, about this. This is the front page the day after someone attempted to assassinate Donald J. Trump while he was on a campaign rally. Main Sunday Telegram, the Suppress Herald, Sunday edition. Trump safe, 2 dead after shooting at Pennsylvania rally. That's at the top of the front page, but there is no article on the front page. There's an article about a 13-year-old girl who's been living in a hospital emergency department because she doesn't have proper care in Maine. Maine's been run by Democrats here for the last 7 years, 6 years. Why is this happening? And then you've got other things, which are a basket maker. Oh, there's a basket maker, Wabanaki basket maker. Great. That's the front page. At the top is a little headline with Trump safe, 2 dead. It doesn't say he tried to assassinate them. And then you open it up to the second page and the headline, Trump appears wounded at Pennsylvania rally. What, did he just get a stray bullet? Accidental? It was an assassination attempt to murder a former president and leading candidate for the presidency of the United States. This supposed newspaper is a disgrace. And I'm going to continue to expose this stuff every week on my podcast. So mostly I'm just angry today. We have a despicable situation with our media who have wound these things up, lied to the American people, all this stuff with Trump ever since Russia collusion hoax, paid for by Hillary Clinton, exposed, and they still never retracted any of it. And now we have brought it to this. Someone radicalized by this massive media machine, the propaganda machine, the biggest propaganda organization machine in the history of the world, right here in US of A, bought and paid for by billionaires, some of them, the Suppress Herald, bought and paid for by billionaires through the National Trust for Local News. Should be the National Distrust of Local News. And that's what we have. And this is what it's come to. And thank God they missed. And now we have to move on. But be aware that you're being played by a massive propaganda machine. Again, politics is local. and so is propaganda. See you on the next podcast.